Pablo Escobar, a name that resonates through the annals of history, evoking a chilling blend of fear and fascination. The name alone evokes a chilling blend of fear and fascination. Escobar's notoriety was not confined to Colombia. It spread like wildfire across the globe, making headlines and capturing the public's imagination. During his reign, he was the most powerful drug lord the world had ever seen. His empire was built on the back of the cocaine trade, a business that brought him immense wealth and unparalleled power. He was the king of cocaine, amassing a fortune beyond imagination through the ruthless trafficking of narcotics. His wealth was so vast that he reportedly spent thousands of dollars on rubber bands just to hold his cash together. But Escobar was more than just a criminal. He was a family man, a father, and a husband. To some, he was a Robin Hood-like figure, using his wealth to build schools, hospitals, and housing for the poor in Medellin. He was a complex figure, a man who instilled terror in the hearts of many while also commanding a strange sort of admiration from others. His duality made him a subject of both fear and fascination. His story is one of ambition, greed, violence, and ultimately downfall. Escobar's reign was marked by brutal violence, with countless lives lost in the crossfire of his drug wars. It's a cautionary tale of how the allure of power and wealth can corrupt even the most ordinary of beginnings. Escobar's journey from a petty thief to a global drug lord is a testament to the corrupting influence of unchecked ambition. From his humble origins on the streets of Medellin, Colombia, to his rise as a ruthless drug lord, Escobar's life was a whirlwind of criminal activity that left an indelible mark on Colombia and the world. His operations were vast and complex, involving a network of criminals and corrupt officials. This essay delves into the life and times of Pablo Escobar, exploring his journey from petty thief to cocaine kingpin, his reign of terror, his eventual downfall, and his enduring legacy. We will examine how his actions reshaped Colombia, influenced global drug policies, and left a legacy that continues to be felt to this day. Pablo Emilio Escobar Gaviria was born in 1949 in Rio Negro, a small town near Medellin, Colombia. This picturesque region, surrounded by lush mountains and vibrant landscapes, was a stark contrast to the life of hardship that awaited him. His family was poor, his father a farmer, and his mother a schoolteacher. Despite their hard work, they struggled to make ends meet, living in a modest home with limited resources. The values of perseverance and resilience were instilled in Pablo from a young age. Life was a struggle, and young Pablo learned early on that opportunities for advancement were scarce. The streets of Medellin were filled with children like him, dreaming of a better future but often finding themselves trapped in a cycle of poverty. Driven by a fierce ambition and a desire for a better life, Escobar began his criminal career on the streets of Medellin. He was determined to rise above his circumstances, and he quickly realized that the conventional path was not for him. He started small, engaging in petty theft and selling contraband cigarettes. These early activities were his first taste of the criminal underworld, and they provided him with the initial capital and connections he needed to expand his operations. These early ventures, though insignificant in the grand scheme of his future empire, revealed a glimpse of the ruthlessness and ambition that would come to define him. Escobar was not just another petty criminal. He had a vision and the drive to see it through. Driven by an insatiable hunger for wealth and power, Escobar soon graduated to more lucrative criminal enterprises. He began to understand the dynamics of the illegal markets and saw an opportunity that would change his life forever. He recognized the potential profits in Colombia's burgeoning drug trade and dove headfirst into the world of cocaine trafficking. This was a turning point in his life, marking the beginning of his rise to infamy. Little did he know, this decision would set him on a path to become one of the most notorious criminals in history. His name would soon be synonymous with power, violence, and the vast drug empire he built, leaving an indelible mark on Colombia and the world. Escobar's rise was meteoric. He quickly established himself as a key player in the Medellin cartel, a criminal organization that would dominate the global cocaine market. His operations expanded rapidly, and with them, his wealth and influence grew exponentially. With his newfound wealth, Escobar indulged in a lavish lifestyle. He built extravagant mansions, owned private zoos, and even had his own fleet of airplanes. Yet despite his opulence, he never forgot his roots and often portrayed himself as a Robin Hood figure helping the poor in his community. Escobar's duality was striking. On one hand, he was a ruthless drug lord responsible for countless deaths and widespread corruption. On the other, he was a benefactor to the poor, building schools, hospitals, and housing for the underprivileged. This complex persona made him both feared and revered. However, his reign of terror could not last forever. The Colombian government, with the help of international forces, launched an all-out war against Escobar and his cartel. After years of evading capture, his empire began to crumble, leading to his eventual downfall and death in 1993. Pablo Escobar's legacy is a complex one. He left behind a country scarred by violence and corruption, but also one that has shown remarkable resilience and recovery. His story serves as a cautionary tale of how ambition and power can lead to both great heights and devastating consequences. The 1970s saw the rise of cocaine consumption in the United States, creating a massive demand for the drug. Escobar seized this opportunity, recognizing the potential for immense profits. He united various traffickers, forming the notorious Medellin cartel. This marked a turning point in Escobar's life and in the global drug trade. Under Escobar's leadership, the Medellin cartel exerted a stranglehold on the cocaine trade. They controlled every aspect, from production in the jungles of Colombia to smuggling routes into the United States. Escobar's ruthlessness was key to his success. He eliminated rivals, intimidated officials, and established a vast network of loyal followers. The cartel's influence reached far beyond the shores of Colombia. Escobar's wealth grew exponentially, placing him on Forbes' list of the world's richest people. He amassed billions of dollars, becoming a symbol of success for some and a harbinger of destruction for others. Section 4. A Legacy of Terror. Escobar's Heinous Crimes. Escobar's pursuit of wealth and power came at a devastating cost. His ambition knew no bounds, and he was willing to go to any lengths to achieve his goals. He was responsible for countless acts of violence and terror that plagued Colombia throughout the 1980s. His reign was marked by a relentless campaign of bombings, assassinations, and kidnappings. He believed in maintaining order through fear and didn't hesitate to eliminate anyone who stood in his way. His network of loyal henchmen carried out his orders with brutal efficiency. Judges, journalists, politicians, anyone who dared oppose him or threaten his empire became a target. The judiciary and the press were particularly vulnerable, as Escobar sought to silence any voice of dissent. Bombs ripped through city streets, assassinations became commonplace, and a climate of fear enveloped the nation. The daily lives of ordinary Colombians were disrupted by the constant threat of violence. Escobar's reign of terror left an indelible scar on Colombia's soul. Families mourned the loss of loved ones, and communities were torn apart by the relentless violence. One of the most horrific acts attributed to Escobar was the bombing of Avianca Flight 203 in 1989. This act of terror was a stark reminder of the lengths to which Escobar would go to maintain his power. Believing a presidential candidate to be on board, Escobar ordered the bombing, killing all 110 passengers and crew members. The tragedy sent shockwaves through the nation and the world. This act of terrorism shocked the world and cemented Escobar's image as a ruthless and heartless criminal. The international community condemned the attack, and it became a symbol of the extreme measures Escobar was willing to take. The Colombian people, however, did not remain silent. Protests erupted across the country, with citizens demanding justice and an end to the violence. The collective outcry marked a turning point in the fight against Escobar's tyranny. Law enforcement agencies intensified their efforts to capture Escobar, launching numerous raids and operations. The government, with support from international allies, was determined to dismantle his empire. Despite his immense wealth and resources, Escobar's grip on power began to weaken. His luxurious properties were seized, and his assets were confiscated, signaling the beginning of the end for his reign of terror. The resilience of the Colombian people shone through as they began to rebuild their lives and communities. The scars of Escobar's crimes would remain, but the nation's spirit was unbroken. Today, Colombia continues to move forward, striving for peace and prosperity. The legacy of Escobar's heinous crimes serves as a reminder of the past, but also as a testament to the strength and resilience of the Colombian people. Section 5, the elusive outlaw, evading justice with bribery and fear. Despite the mounting pressure from the Colombian government and international authorities, Escobar remained elusive. He had cultivated a network of informants and bribed officials at every level of government. His vast wealth and influence made him seemingly untouchable. Escobar's reign was a testament to the corrosive power of corruption. He operated with impunity, using his wealth to buy loyalty and silence dissent. Those who couldn't be bribed were often coerced through threats or violence. Escobar's grip on power was further strengthened by the fear he instilled in the population. He cultivated an image of himself as a benefactor to the poor, building schools and hospitals in impoverished neighborhoods. This tactic, while manipulative, earned him a degree of support among some, further complicating efforts to bring him to justice. Section 6. Closing in, the beginning of the end for Escobar. As Escobar's reign of terror continued, so did the pressure to capture him. The Colombian government, with the support of the United States, formed a special police unit, Search Block, dedicated to hunting him down. The stakes were high, and the manhunt became an intense game of cat and mouse. The tide began to turn when Escobar, in a misguided attempt to pressure the government, orchestrated the kidnapping of several high-profile figures. This act, intended to force concessions from the authorities, backfired spectacularly. It only served to galvanize public opinion against him and strengthen the resolve of those hunting him. The walls were closing in on the cocaine kingpin. His organization, weakened by internal strife and constant pressure from authorities, began to crumble. The once untouchable Escobar found himself increasingly isolated and vulnerable.